Hello, I'm Robert Hulse. I'm sat here on the edge of the main Macclesfield to Leek road. In that direction over there, about 8 miles away, we have Macclesfield, and possibly 4 miles in that direction we have Leek. We're now in the county of Staffordshire, and below me is Rudyard Lake. Now this is a busy main road, it's noisy and not very pleasant, but I'm going to take you down there and we're going to have a walk around the lake and see what we can find. I hope you enjoy your walk with me today. So just before we go down to the lake, I'll just show you the view from up here, and in the distance you can see Bosley Cloud, and there's the Cliff Park end of the lake, which is about 2.5 miles in length in total. So the walk all around the lake today is going to be perhaps 6 miles by the time I'm finished. But we'll take little snapshots of the lake as we go around it. Time to get away from this noisy road, I fancy. It's a really lovely day. I couldn't have asked for a better day to do this filming. It's the 1st of September 2016, and it's about 1:30 in the afternoon. So here we are coming up to the Rudyard turn now. It's beautiful countryside. Absolutely lovely. Oh, there's the bus just beating me to Rudyard. Here we go. That's it. Far to go now. I hope you get a little idea of what the countryside's like around here. It's very green, a lot of trees, dairy cattle. This is coming up to the railway bridge. It used to be a full-size steam railway which ran alongside the lake here between Leek and Macclesfield, but now it's a narrow gauge railway which takes visitors in little carriages up and down the lake. I'm very fortunate in that I have dear friends who live here in Rudyard village, which means that I can park my car outside their house, and after the long trek around the lake I can call for a cup of tea, which I can assure you I will definitely need. road which takes us down to the lake, and I think I'll park my car outside my friend's house here. And there we are. Well, this is the Hotel Rudyard at the southern end of the lake, but it's still quite noisy here. It seems that they're doing maintenance work on the property, so we're not going to go down this end of the lake. We're going to go down this road here and go down the west side of the lake to start with. So here we go. Well, that's the way down to the lake at the dam head end, and you can just see the lake down through the trees there. But we're heading off up that track just there. And here's our first glimpse of the wooded nature of the edge of Rudyard Lake. I wonder if you could just make out the sound of the little steam train on the other side of the lake. It's quite haunting, really. I really do like this mossy look to all the stones. It just shows how damp it is on this side of the lake. This side doesn't get a great deal of sunshine. And there's a tree up there that's quite interesting in that the trunk seems to be totally twisted round. Yeah. They're mostly a mixture of beech trees and holly and pine, and we get all this leaf litter on the ground all the time, mixed in with these sandstone pieces, which are actually reddish in colour underneath the moss, and that's where the name of Rudyard Lake comes from. Apparently it's connected with the red sandstone here, Rud being red. There's evidence of old walls and old pathways here that are no longer here. You can see just over there that wall, which obviously marks the boundary of a path. Which goes up there. Here's the track we're going to go up, and on this side we have a field with an old property on the top there, and in this side I can notice some goats, so we're just going to have a look at them. Starting to get a little more peaceful here, which is how I like it. So on we go, up the path. starting to get a little overgrown here, but it's not a problem, we can get through. A few blackberries there. And different berries. Breeze blowing around the corner here through this oak tree. Yes, lovely. More oak trees and acorns. Yeah. Rhododendron there. And ferns, plenty of ferns. It's a public footpath all the way around Rudyard Lake, and it's a path I've walked many times. I used to come here fishing with my dad and my granddad in the old days. It's inevitable that I'm going to have to keep cutting pieces out, otherwise this film would take a good 2 hours or more at the rate I'm going around the lake today. But hope I can give you a proper flavour of what it's actually like. That's a driveway into someone's home who's lucky enough to live by the lake. But we're heading off down here under this beech tree, and now it's really getting peaceful. It's lovely. It's a very old woodland here, hundreds of years old, I guess. You can hear the odd leaf falling down through the branches. Just look at the moss on this wall here. That shows how damp it is on this side. I mean, that's really thick and soft. Yeah, it's really nice and soft. It's lovely. And the ferns. Yeah. This is a very old trackway here, and there are one or two superb old beech trees. They're absolutely huge. There's a couple over here on my left which I particularly like. Just look at the roots of this old beech. It's lovely. It almost has a greenish tinge somehow. It's a wonderful thing how it's hanging on to the top of this wall, and the tree itself is enormous. It's absolutely amazing. Look at that. Not strictly allowed actually, cycling on this side, but never mind. I'm going to just try and look up into the canopy of this tree a little bit. Quite magnificent. Yes, wonderful. And there's another beech, another monster of the wood. I love beech trees. Yeah, wonderful. And again, this moss, this thick moss. Soft, lovely. Again, you can see from the stones here that it's a very old track. Rudyard Lake was a very popular place at one time, with thousands of visitors coming on the railway and boating on the lake. So peaceful. I'm afraid this Himalayan balsam's getting a bit of a pest here. People try to get rid of it, but it's a beggar. It keeps coming back. Pretty flower though, I guess. Yeah, quite pretty. So now we come off the rough track and we get onto the tarmac road, which goes along part of this side of the lake. You can probably hear people shouting in the background, and that's people on the water, rowing or whatever. So we have to walk along here for probably about half a mile, I guess, until we get to the sailing club, the yacht club. That's a flipping old beech tree. Look at all the gnarls on there. No parking. I just hear a crow cawing in the trees up there, and now we can see the lake down below us. And we're probably about 70 feet above the lake at this point, but we'll get a lot closer. Perhaps you can just start to hear the wind rustling in the trees. You can actually hear the beech nuts falling off the tree onto the road here. on this side of the lake there are a lot of holiday homes which have been built, and we'll be able to see them better when we go on the other side of the lake. Well, isn't this wonderful? I've just bumped into the chap who owns this property, and he's built it himself on this side of the lake, and what a wonderful view he's got from his patio, or whatever you'd call it. It's absolutely superb. Beautiful, beautiful. This side of the lake doesn't get much sunshine, but because he's well away from the trees, he must get quite a bit. But I'm sure he won't mind if I just film the cladding which is put on this this building, and it really is superb. I think it's really in keeping with the area. And just look at that wall. I mean, that has taken some building. That's incredible, because it's so steep and the road is just above that top wall up there, and everything had to be taken out of here. Nothing was allowed to go into the lake, which meant a huge undertaking. And of course, you know, he's got his boats and canoes, and yes, it's absolutely superb. I mean, there is one of the older properties on the lake. I think it may be the Lady of the Lake, that one. But if we look down the lake, we can see there's 4 chaps in a canoe or whatever, sculling along. And a young lady here. Isn't that just wonderful? I hope you're getting some idea why I love this place so much. It's just wonderful. We have the children in the wood opposite on the old railway line, enjoying themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. I love to hear the sound of happy children. The gulls just wheeling around there. Yes, inside those trees, the canopy on the far bank is the little railway line, which we'll see plenty of in due course. Yeah, that's lovely. And so we'll just take a walk back up the steps, and you'll see it's quite steep. The oak leaves are just starting to fall down now, beginning of September, and by November I suppose most of them will have dropped. It's splendid. What a lovely little place to sit and have a bit of a contemplation. Splendid. And up here He's got his store of logs neatly tucked away. Yeah, absolutely grand. That's brilliant. Some cast iron posts for future use, no doubt. And there we are, looking down. Absolutely splendid. Very kind of him to offer to let me come down and have a look at his wonderful home. So on we go. This one's obviously called the Bothy. Holiday let, fully equipped, hot tub, Sky TV. Yes, we've got that telephone number for future reference. It's lovely. And there's another one. I rather like this fence. It's nice how it's been cut out. Excellent. Just thinking back to that other one with the Sky TV, I can't imagine why you would want Sky TV in such a beautiful place as this. Sort of defeats the object, I would think. And there's another one. Water's Edge Boathouse Holiday Home. Yeah, lovely. Just zoom into that. And so we go on. We're not a quarter of the way around yet. Oh, look at that. That's interesting. A fuchsia. It must be about 8 feet tall. Here's a very impressive gate on Sandy Nook. That's an impressive property. Now my friend Jim used to live just a bit further down here in a much less impressive but rather nice property, the old boathouse. Oh, I was mistaken earlier on. This is the Lady of the Lake. Very impressive stone building which juts out into the lake and is one of the earliest residences here, I think. On and on we go. Quiet. Oh, I think I can just hear the train on the other side of the lake. Yeah, everywhere you go there are these houses tucked away in the wood, hiding. I mean, there's a very old looking post box. Most unusual find. And here we've come to Boathouse Cottage, where my friend used to live. It was lovely in the summer, but it was a bit chilly in the winter. And there's that property tucked away in the wood. The brackens. Yeah. There we are. Boathouse Cottage. And there it is. It's only tiny, but it's got a grand view. Everywhere you go along here you find little garages and old sheds made out of bits and pieces. And there we go, there's another house up there tucked away in the wood. Yeah, it's lovely. And just round the corner up here we've got the boathouse. And here's another very posh holiday let, which I had the great good fortune to be invited to have a look around just before it was completed. And I must say it's a very impressive place. All oak doors, all beautifully finished. It's a beautiful place, just done in 2011. It's quite large actually, because it's on about 3 different levels. Marvellous place. Always people walking around enjoying the scenery. Hello. Hello. Yeah. Hello there.
What are you filming for?
I'm just filming the whole of the lake.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, just to you know. Yeah. Oh no, not for TV, but it'll go on YouTube, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. You're not somewhere you shouldn't be, are you? There's water running into the lake at this point, and I think there's always been a spring on this side. I remember when I was a small boy being brought here by my grandmother, and out of the wall here used to come a spring, and she filled a flask of water, and it was the most beautiful water I'd ever tasted. I can't honestly recall exactly where it was, but it was somewhere around this area. I know, just before the boathouse, the sailing club. And of course the water's coming down out of these woods, and it was lovely and clean in those days. It was beautiful. And this must have been quite an impressive little building at one time. Look how solid it is, made of these blocks of stone. It obviously connected with the sailing club, I think. But now all the floors inside are gone, and it's just fenced off for safety's sake, I think. But I've often wondered what it would be like to live in it if it were refurbished. Yeah. I think it's safe to say that it's seen better days. And here we are, this is the sailing club. And there's some nice boats out on the lake by the look of it. Look at that, that's a lovely yacht down there. That's really nice. I love those red sails. You can perhaps just hear the train clattering along the line on the other side of the lake. And here we go into some more dense woodland. bit mucky here, so I'm just going to have to mind my footing. Look at that, that's lovely. That the green of the leaves, it's very striking, isn't it? Beautiful. Really nice colour. I don't know whether I can put my hand, yeah, in the shot, and you can see the contrast of my skin and the green. It's lovely. And the ferns. Yeah, that's gorgeous. Yeah. Bit more mucky along here, but I think we can get along the side. Yeah. Some interesting trees a bit further up. And here we have one of those trees. It's actually a sweet chestnut, and just look at the bark on that. Yeah, really deep. Here we go. Watch my footing. Sorry about the jerking of the camera, but it can't be helped, I'm afraid. I just have a bit of a harness on, and there's only so much it will take out. Yeah. So if you're coming for a walk around Rudyard Lake in the winter time, you'd be well advised to wear some decent footwear, because this side of the lake gets really quite mucky. It's passable without too much trouble, but there's always a place you can get through, but it is a bit of a mess. The other side of the lake is fine, no problem whatsoever. Here's another one of those sweet chestnut trees. It's amazing. I mean, the tree must be a heck of an age, and yet even now it's still trying to send shoots out from these gnarly bits. Some really old trees on this side. That's a very old beech. One behind it is a beech, and you can see where it's broken off higher up. This woodland isn't really managed, it's just left to get on with itself, you know, and there's a lot of dead trees here which could do with taking out, but I suppose that adds to its charm. Apparently somebody loves Sue Patrick. It's an old custom, been going on for many years. Plenty of trees with carvings of pledges of love around Rudyard Lake. And so we go on up this side. It's quite a way, but in a while we'll come out of the wood and into more open land, and you'll have a better view of the lake. as you can see, it's a bit mucky here, but I mean, I haven't got any special footwear on, and I don't feel that I'm getting too messy. There's always a way. Whoop. There we go. Yeah, look at these big old beech trees. There we are with some pledges of love. Alex I can see up there. Some of these are very old indeed. Coming up to the stile. There have been sightings of big cats in and around Rudyard. One fisherman I spoke to watched one take a Canada goose off the water near where he was fishing one night and carry it off up the field. Another big cat was filmed down by the Dam Head near Rudyard itself. So there are such things in the wild, no doubt about it. When I'm walking along here on my own, I often wonder if there are unseen eyes watching me, but I never feel afraid of anything here. I feel very comfortable. Public footpath only, no unauthorised vehicles, horses or bicycles. And the farmer who owns the land beyond here is making quite sure that people get that message, that there's no right of way. He's put these huge concrete posts in front of the gate to make it impossible for anyone to get through. But we can get through over the stile here, and the Staffordshire way, apparently this is, or part of it anyway. Yeah, lovely. And so now we're coming out of the woodland and into a bit more open country, and shortly we'll be coming up to an old house which was used during the war to treat injured soldiers, and it was also a golf club, because up here was an old golf course, and I think probably in the distance there we can see what was probably the remains of an old tee in the field there, where people would tee their balls up and hit them off down the field, which I'm sure was lovely in those days. Here's some food for the goldfinches later on, and in the distance you can see the telecommunications tower on top of Croker Hill near Winkle. Sign of autumn coming. A few leaves on the ground here. This will be covered in a couple of months' time, and we'll have more colour in the leaves too. It'll be a nice time of year. Yeah, really nice. I think these are lime trees actually, but I'm fairly sure that's what they are. Lime trees, and very old ones too. Yeah, There's a row of them along here, leading up to the old house. Now here's an old sycamore tree. I mean, that is huge. It's got to be about as big a sycamore as I think I've ever seen. Goodness knows how old that is. Ah. And there's the lake. And on the other side there you can see the road, and where that wall is with the white building behind, that's where I started the introduction to this film, on that noisy Macclesfield to Leek road. I much prefer it over here. It's really quite an interesting building, that one there. It's a bit Art Deco in design. And this is the old house. It must have been quite impressive once upon a time. The posts on by the gate here once had these lovely carved tops on them, and unfortunately it's a sign of its age and dilapidation that, well, there's what's left of the top of that one on the floor. And as you can see, windows broken, and it's in a pretty poor state of repair. But once upon a time this must have been quite a place, with an entrance like that. Yeah. And as I say, it was a golf clubhouse, and of course somebody's home before that. It must have had a cracking view of the lake, but I imagine that was before these trees started to grow, these sycamores. And now it's in a pretty poor state of repair. Yeah. And there's the lake below us. Still got a long way to go. We're heading off down this track here, and as you can see, it's a better surface. You can just hear the wind rustling the leaves here. It seems like a mixture of trees, oak, sycamore, beech, and I know further on there are more lime trees. But this is the kind of countryside we have here in Staffordshire. And that's a big lime, I think. A very big one. And there are more further on. On and on. Down here was the golf course, with the lake beyond. Oh, there's the White House on the main road, and that's looking back up the track towards the old house. There's something really soothing about the sound of water in a stream. You can hear the cows mooing in the background. We're going to go into their field in a moment, and this here is a line of lime trees, obviously deliberately planted. Just look how gnarly this old tree is. Absolutely amazing. So that's the stand of limes, and now we're going to come out into this field of very large cows, but they're quite docile, so it's not a problem. And here they are. There only seem to be a few of them compared to what there were, so perhaps some have gone elsewhere. Some young ones amongst them. Let's go and have a look at this big one here. Don't be put off from walking on this track by these cows, because they really are quite harmless. As long as you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. This one's not sure about my camera though, I can see that. Now, this is an interesting place that not many people know about, because running down the field here towards that stand of trees there used to be a stream, and I'm quite sure it was deliberately diverted there for ceremonial purposes, I believe. Yeah, this one's not quite sure about me, I think. But I don't need to worry about me. I think this one's coming to have a look. But only curious. Yeah, don't worry. No problem.